What is up, YouTube? That's here, and today we're back to more Patreon VGC team fixing. Today we're taking a look at a team that features Chi-Yu, and the question of the day before we even get into any team fixing is, what do you think is the best Ruin Pokemon for the Reg G format? We have Chi-Yu, we have Shenpao, we have Tingwu, we have Woxian, bunch of really cool mons. I think Chi-Yu is one of the more aggressive options. I also think Shenpao is actually still really good in this format, but let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like I said, this is a Patreon team fixing. This is going to be the team we're taking a look at today. I really like what this team's actually doing on paper. They have a Tornadus with like dual weather, so they can be paired with Sunny Day to potentially like enable the Chi-Yu, or they can be paired with like Rain Dance to enable their Urshifu Rapid Strike. Really cool ideas. A little bit of like anti-Trick Room Cali Ice play here, you know, standard Rillaboom to be able to like flip terrains on Miraidon. So it's doing everything right. If we take a look at the team's mission post right here, and if you want to submit a team, if you guys are looking for a little bit of help or a second set of eyes to make your teams polished up before Reg G starts, think about checking out the Patreon. Link to it in the description. Even the lowest tier gets access to the submission post. We're going to take a look at Ivy's team right here. They say, hey, THATSA, I've been watching your Reg G team fixing videos and decided to submit my own team. It's a Calyrex Shadow Rider team paired with Chi-Yu since I love the duo. I struggle a lot versus Miraidon players and Amoonguss. I've thought about maybe using Safety Goggles Landorus T, but I feel like using Landorus T in this format is near impossible due to the Ice Rider and Kyogre. I wish Landorus T was better in this format. It's not that it's really like a bad mon, it's just that you're right, it's a little bit too reactive and it gets bullied a little bit by, you know, some of the more popular S and A tier restricteds. I really like how you went in detail and said that you struggle with Miraidon and Amoonguss. That's really going to help me when I go into the team fixing for this team. But yeah, I think that overall on paper, Calyrex Shadow Rider has some pretty good matchups and some pretty bad matchups. I think if we, you know, go back and talk about like how it stacks up against like my old tier list, I think like Calyrex Shadow, if you build it right, can be good into Ogre, good into Koraidon, good into the Calyrex Shadow Mirror. It can be good into Miraidon as well if you build your team correctly. You need to be able to put adequate pressure on the Miraidon slot with the Shadow Rider and not fall prey to like their tempo loops with like Farigirafs. I think that's the key part. And having a couple good pivots to disincentivize Miraidon play is also very important for that matchup. I think just like basically putting the Miraidon player on the back foot and knowing every single turn they risk losing the Miraidon no matter what makes it a lot harder for the Miraidons to work. So adding like helping hand users, the right idea, using things with like the Beads of Ruin Chi-Yu to cut their special defense to put them within range for Astral Brushes. That's the right idea. So we're going to be trying to make our team a little bit more aggressive in that regard. But some of the bad matchups, we have bad matchups against things like Terapagos. I think that's like almost an auto loss. There are a couple changes we can make to help there, but Terapagos is probably going to be pretty rough. And then for the most part, like if they're using something like Lunala, we're still probably going to be fine. So what we're going to do right now is just go play a few games on the good old-fashioned ranked ladder on Showdown and see how this goes. And then after that, we're going to do some fixing and we're going to explain all that stuff, and then we're just going to have a good time. So sit back, max, relax, and here we go. Here we go. So going into this team, if we talk about like the EVs and stuff like that, this Torn is wasting some, let's go right here. The Torn's wasting some points in Spadef and stuff like that. We can move some of these EVs around. You're wasting 4 points in each of those stats right there. Calyrex Shadow's fine. Chi-Yu is wasting some points too. That's fine. Urshi's fine. It can be optimized. This is fine. It can be optimized. This is okay. Probably could be optimized a little bit. Let's go into this first game. We see Groudon. We do see Groudon. What do I want to do here against Groudon? So the first thing you want to be doing when you get into the games like this is you want to be able to correctly analyze their speed tiers. So if they have like a Whimsicott and a Lecky outspeeds Shadow Rider. So what they're going to be trying to do is utilize, you know, either the Whims or the Lecky to be able to like put leverage on the board. We also need to low-key respect Trick Room Whims, so they can't just go like Trick Room Whims, make it look like they're fake or tailwinding, and go for like a Trick Room to enable a Torkoal. That'd be an auto loss. I don't know if we need to lead Calyrex, but Calyrex does historically have a good matchup into Groudon. I think what I'm gonna do is lead with Torn, Chi-Yu, Cali, and I'm going to bring the Rillaboom just to be able to like finish off the Lecky Sash if need be. We don't really have to worry about like fake outs on their team, so that's fine. I'm not really a big Rillaboom Andy in a lot of these situations, but like it provides the right amount of support for this team. So there's the Whims, there's the Slitherwing. So this is actually fine. That's one of the reasons why we led like Chi-Yu. It should be able to eat a first impression. We can trade Tailwinds and then pivot in Rilla. I really like that. So trade Tailwinds, then they're going to go for the Encore. We're going to pivot out the Torn for the Rilla, and we're going to be fine. We're just going to throw out a Heat Wave here. But you see how like we're basically having like a second Shadow Rider. That's how Chi-Yu likes to be played. does the same amount of things as Shadow Rider, the massive AoE right off the rip. It looks like they went for, I think they went for a Trick Room, if I'm being completely honest. And Wild Charge is something that was not on my bingo card, but they get taken out here. And now when you send out Groudon, like, I basically just win. Like, you're probably going to flip a Terra on, but that's completely fine. I think that we can just Rain Dance over this, honestly. I don't really see an issue with that. But at the same time, like, I don't need to do any of that. I think I can actually just Rain Dance, though. Like, pivot in Rilla, and then, like, rebring in Shadow Rider, and then rebring out Chi-Yu and lock in, like, Dark Pulse. Like, we just do this. This is absolutely fine. Don't really care there. What are you using here? Eruption, the weakest Eruption the world's ever seen. Torn goes down, but, like, this is fine. Now we have, like, a Fake Out pin. We can even, like, double dip our Ghost and just, like, massively pin these guys. So I'm going to double dip the Ghost, pin the Torkoal, and I'm going to Fake Out the Groudon. Hopefully it's not, like, cloaked or something. But if the good thing about, like, Fake Out pins like this with Shadow Rider 2 is when you have them pinned with Fake Out, and you're using Astro, if they want to go Ghost to block that Fake Out, they just get melted by the Astro. That's one of, like, the coolest things about Shadow Rider as a mon. Fire Tear is very standard there. Again, just getting that big pin like we were talking about. Massive damage. Oko's the Torkoal, gets the +1, puts the Groudon within range for a second attack. And that's going to be game. So pretty good first game. And yeah, easy peasy lemon squeezy. Pretty good stuff. So let's go into another one. And if you guys have any questions about these sort of team fixing guides or any of this stuff we do on Patreon, think about letting me know in the comments. Always answer all my comments. I love seeing the comments that you guys leave on these videos. Let's see, this one is Lunala with Indity. So there could be like a normal Terra there, and there is that Ursa Luna, which is a normal mon. So like Shadow Rider is going to have a problem with that. But we do have Expanding Force. I want to say I really do like that you just put Expanding Force on this, knowing that they could have Indity. I really like that. A lot of people would go like Psyshock here, and I like the Expanding Force. Great foresight into what like could be viable. The first thing we want to take a look at is they don't have like Tailwind, so the fastest thing they can have is like a Booster Flutter. So if we wanted to lead with like Torn, we would be able to do that. But let's see, what else do we really want here? We were talking about Amoonguss being an issue, and I would say that Amoonguss is an issue. I think I'm going to lead... I don't want to lead Cali here, so I'm going to lead Chi-Yu and do like roughly the same thing. I want to pivot in my Rilla, but I need to make it like look believable. I know it's hard to say. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. We're not bringing the Torn, and I don't think I'm going to need it, but I might be wrong. What I would do if this was my team is I would be leaning into like a more defensive Terra on our Shadow Rider, something like a normal Terra to block like Shadow Balls and Moongeist Beams. But this is a very, very solid lead from them. They can get up Trick Room, but we also can just like pivot in Rilla and like mitigate a lot of their damage. I think I'm just going to go Dark Pulse here. And if I had U-Turn here, I would use it, but no, we're going to Dark Pulse into the Lunala. We're going to keep them honest with that Follow Me. We're just going to pivot in our Rilla and try and wait out this TR. Rilla's like a pretty decent mon about like slowing down a lot of what they're doing over here. I want to see if we can force a Terra on that Lunala so we can actually Fake Out it. But I would say that, like, without a team fixing, this team would really struggle. Oh, they just eat it in the face. That's amazing. That's, like, super amazing. We take that, and they're orbed. So that's great. And you get the Trick Room up. But, like, I think I'm, like, low-key fine. We just Dark Pulse there, and we just Fake Out the Indity so they can't follow me. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's go. That's a lot of damage. Life Orb Lunala was not on the bingo card, but again, it doesn't really matter. That's a lot of damage to our Rilla, but I think we're in a good spot. The only thing I'm really worried about here is we're going to be enabling an Ursa Luna, but I think we have the right amount of mons to be able to deal with it. We don't have that many protects on this team. Fake Out, block the Follow Me. They can go for an Expanding Force or a Moongeist Beam. That's not going to do it. It's not going to do it at all. Easy peasy, take that thing out, lemon squeezy. So Lunala's down. This should be either a Amoonguss or Ursa coming out, right? Right, I think it should. There's the Ursa. So 3 turns on that TR. We could go for a big Grassy Glide. I think I'm actually going to like Wood Hammer there. And I think I will just Dark Pulse. I think I Wood Hammer and Dark Pulse. I don't think Grassy Glide's right. I think that we could also like low-key U-turn. I think I actually will U-turn. That's a good play. So we're going to go... I'd like to Dark Pulse this, but it's not important. If you protect Indity, you're cracked, but you know you're protecting the Ursa, right? Yeah, Dazzle's absolutely fine. And we're just doing this to be able to reset our Fake Out pin. So we can come in with either of these. I think we want to come in with Urshi, just because we can drop a Protect and help wait out the TR. We finish off there. Cool, so what we're going to do here is we're going to see their last mon. It could be a Amoonguss, Flutter, or Hands. I don't really care which one it is. We're just going to drop a Protect on the Ursh, lose the Chi-Yu to Amoonguss. Cool. Okay, let me think about this. If I protect Ursh and Fodder, I get to bring out Rilla and have a Fake Out pin. and that's like really good. Let's see though. Yeah, just try it. Just fodder the Chi-Yu here. Yep, Rage Powder's absolutely okay. He's actually Earthquake. I was going to say, you low-key like have to Earthquake and protect your Amoonguss here, and so like getting free damage on Amoonguss is great. And it's Lefty's Amoonguss in the grassy terrain. Wow, I was not expecting that. So we can just come in here with this Rilla. Yeah, I really don't want them to go like Ghost Terror here, but again, if they go Ghost Terror, it conditions the Shadow Rider to work correctly. So fake out, big fake out here. We're going to get this Urshi put to sleep. I think that, like, that sucks, but it's not the end of the world. I guess we could like low-key go fake out there, and if you take out... Actually, that's a good play. If you fake out right there, Earthquake could KO me, it could not KO me. I don't think it KOs the Rilla in the grassy terrain. And we're just going to go with... Do I need to double dip my Water Terra? No, I'm fine. There's the Ghost Terra. Cool. We're not falling for it. We're not falling for it. And remember, they just lost the game, right? They just gained that weakness to Astral Barrage, like easy peasy lemon squeezy. Cool. So in this situation, they can't redirect our Rillaboom. Doesn't really matter what we do. I think you just go... I think you just nuke the Amoonguss, because that's like the last little weird Mon on their board. And we know it's lefties. Yeah, it's fine. Just get it off the board. Easy peasy. Yep. 1, 2, 3, and then it redirects my Wood Hammer that is terrainless against their Ursa, but... Like, that's an absolute win. We didn't even need the Shadow Rider. We just, like, let them get up Trick Room and, like, walled them out correctly. I think that we could even make optimizations here, but we played that really, really well. We basically forced them into a Ghost Terra, didn't take the bait, and we still had the Shadow Rider to pin in the back. So that's, like, really, really good stuff. Let's play one more game, and let's be really, really specific about the goals that we want to do in the team preview. They listed Miraidon as one of their bad matchups, so I think this is really, really good. So the first thing you want to do when you take a look at the team preview is you take a look at their speed tiers, right? Their speed control, basically. It's going to be things like this Whimsicott and its Tailwind. It's going to be enabling all these mons, base 135, base 100 with potential Scarf. This is like a base 108. So it's another really, really fast mon that can get that booster from Quark Energy or Quark Drive. And so from here, let's try and guess which mons they have to bring to this matchup. I think they're probably going to bring Whimsicott to be able to trade with us a little bit. I think they're definitely bringing Miraidon. I think you should be bringing Shempow to deal with Calyrex. And I would bring either... I don't think you need Hands, because Hands is okay, but I don't know if you need Hands. I think you're either going to bring the Iron Leaves or the Chi-Yu. So I would be bringing the Chi-Yu. So I think they're probably going to be leading off with like Miraidon Whims. If we can try and guess them into Miraidon Whims, we could go with something really, really aggressive like Torn Cali. And if they wanted to lead Shempow, we can like pivot in for Rigoraph to block that Sucker Punch. If they wanted a Sucker Punch, the right play is not to Sucker, by the way, it's against the Rigoraph team. Let's try these, and then we have Scarf Chi-Yu. I'm going to try the Scarf Chi-Yu over the Rillaboom play. Let's see what we can get done here. There's the Shempow. There's the Hand. So let's see. Now that we've seen these two mons, what do we think we're going to see in the back? We know there has to be a Miraidon, right? So let's try and guess the last mon. I think it's going to be Miraidon and... probably Leaves, because like they see our Ursh, but I think they still need Whim somewhere. It's so weird. So you can fake out here, but we're cloaked, so I don't care. I think I just pivot. I'm like absolutely fine pivoting and just going for... an Astral Barrage with like a Ghost Terra. What I would love to see here is like an Indity on this team, so you could pivot an Indity and actually utilize this expanding force. But let's see how much damage we're actually getting here. The cool thing about this play is if you actually are going for that Sucker Punch, oh, they're not going for the Sucker Punch, which is the right play. It's the absolute right play. Look how much damage that did. They go for the Icicle Crash from the Torn instead. Never lucky you. And that doesn't KO. So we're in a really, really good spot. We see how we have the Shempow pinned. And if we have a Helping Hand here, which we do have the Helping Hand here, we can just go for like Helping Hand Astral again. And you see how this is how you put pressure on these Miraidon teams, using Helping Hands, double dipping Terras, and just keeping those Mons out of the range. There's nothing they have that really switches in on this. You can't Sucker, bro. Like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like Armor Tail. I feel like them forcing me to have Armor Tail might have been the play. I'm really surprised that thing lived. Really, really surprised. And they go for a Drain Punch. I think they might thought that I would go for like a Protect, like D-Gleam or something like that. I think they probably doubled into this slot, like expecting like Trick Room or something. But hey, absolutely fine. There's nothing that you really have that gets over this. At this point in the game, because Shempow's gone, we can actually just protect Cali, lose this Furgraph, bring out Torn, and Tailwind over to make sure that we're not taking L's to things like Scarf Miraidon and Scarf Chi-Yu. If you want to bring out your Whims, I will actually just fight you, because I'm not afraid of Whims. But let's see what they got here. We are in a really, really good spot. We're going to start also talking about like subtle changes that we might want to be making to this team. I think maybe adding like an Indity, like I said, could be a really good one. There's a Wims right there. I think I'm just going to fight this. I think you actually just double tap the Wims. Trying to think of what Terras they could have, because we're going to clock it with the Astral. I think I'm just going to foul play it over the Psychic, because it will KO anyways, and they could go like, I've seen Dark Terra Wims, and I don't want to just throw Psychic out there, because they could go Dark Terra to block the Astral, and this might still get the KO. So Astral's fine. Here's the Miraidon pivot like we were talking about. Big damage. Taunt, yeah, it does not work, buddy. Does not work. Not in this economy. Dunzo, and then we get the Revenge KO on the Miraidon with the redirected foul play. Great stuff. So pretty good stuff. I think that we can definitely take this team to like the next level, because right now you're playing, I'm not trying to say you're playing like balanced Shadow Rider, but the matchups that you talked about having problems with, if we take a look back over here, they struggle out versus like Miraidon players in Amoonguss. We're going to be able to basically like overextend, like overclock the hyper aggressive tendencies of this team. So instead of having that even be a matchup, you just roll them over. It's going to be at the cost of having a little bit of a worse matchup versus things like Terapagos, but honestly, like our team right now doesn't have a good match versus Terapagos either. We're very reliant on that Rilla terrain. Our Urshifu has to do a lot of heavy lifting, and those sort of teams are really built with like really very fast flutters, so it's hard to get that value. So they send out the hands, but again, there's nothing they can really do here. So a lot of the things that you're trying to do with this Friggraph could be done by an Indity, and I think an Indity would also provide like a secondary level of like terrain control that would help this team out a lot. So just gonna wait for this Iron Hands to go down. Man, this guy's big Dunzo. Perfect. So we won every single game, and let's start talking about the changes that we would like to make. So we know that we want to keep this Shadow Rider. Let's put it at the front. We know that we want to keep this Chi. We're going to put it right here. I'm probably going to be keeping Torn as our Tailwind Setter. I do think you should be having a Tailwind Setter. I think the obvious Tailwind Setters here are Torn, Talonflame, and Wims. And I think Torn is the best one for this team. I think if we take a look at what this guy does, you almost had it right too. I think another thing you want to do is you don't really need this much HP investment. I'm just trying to help out even though we're taking this thing off. You just need to be able to outspeed like Scarf Ape, so it's like right here. And you usually want to have it on an even number so you don't get KO'd by like, so you can optimize your Citrus Berry in case you get like Ruination, which is back in this format thanks to the Ruination Mons. Shoutouts to the question of the day. Let me know what your favorite Ruin Pokemon is for this format. So you got to be wary of those sort of things, but I don't think you even want to use this mon. I think an Indity does a lot more stuff for this team. I think an Indity having Psychic Surge can still have that pivot in, enable the terrain so you're not getting Sucker Punched or Fake Outed, but at the same time, it's a little bit of redirection, and it enables the Shadow Rider to actually have dual attackers. So now we're not just completely walled by like normal mons. You saw how hard it was to beat that Ursaluna player or like a Farigiraf or something. Now you can just be like, I'm going to use Expanding Force, like it's over, you're done. And if we're talking about what we want to do in this last spot, I think you actually, instead of having Rillaboom as a mon that you want to bring in first Miraidon to change terrain, now your Indity can actually bear a lot of that burden while still providing offensive and helping hand aspects to the Shadow Rider. So the Rillaboom is not like as required. And now we don't need to like fake out pin people. We don't really need to have, you know, fake out pins at all in the game. I think just adding a secondary redirection user is here. You've seen me probably use this team before, or this idea before. We're going to use Clefairy here, and this is going to be something that we can pseudo add to help in a Trick Room matchup. Because the Trick Room is a pretty hard matchup, but if they don't have the right Trick Room mons, you actually are going to be absolutely fine. So one cool thing about Clefairy is it's really slow. It's 35 base speed and it gets after you. So what you can actually do is you can lead Shadow Rider Clef in a lot of matchups. You can blow something up, let them Trick Room with their teammate, who's you probably force a Terra onto. And then from there, if you took out the redirection mon, if they led like Indity or Electabuzz or something like that, they can't follow me anymore. You just go after you and continue sweeping with your Calyrex. If they want to bring in something like a fake out user, then you would pivot in your Indity. If they want to go something like an Amoonguss with Spore, which would underspeed the Clef, you can even go with something as simple as like a Grass Terra Clef. And just go for like a follow me to stop that Spore, because the way that they would stop that is by sporing your teammate, and you can just have like Grass Terra follow me there. So I think Clef's a really, really good mon on this team, and it gives you 2 redirection mons that you can be paired with the Chi-Yu and Calyrex. So remember our first game that we played, we used Chi-Yu as like a little like baby Cali to kind of scout the waters against like that Groudon team. In this replay right here, you know, we led Chi-Yu, and you know, if we lost Chi-Yu, it wasn't the end of the world, but we were just basically setting up for Calyrex to close in the back. So we can still kind of have that playstyle where we have 2 Calis here. But what if I told you we could even have a 3rd Calyrex? And that would be replacing this Urshifu, who I think Urshifu is really good. There's nothing really wrong with Urshifu. But you were talking about not wanting to lose your matchups versus Miraidon and Kyogre. I think there's a mon that still really helps, and that's going to be Palmont. You've seen me use variants of this team in the past before, but Palmont's really cool because it gets Volt Absorb, which means it's going to have a good matchup in a Miraidon. It's a good pivot. Now the Miraidon has to really think twice before just locking in Electro Drive or Electro Drift or anything like that. So it's really, really good ability, and it comes with Revival Blessing. Revival Blessing means you can actually just trade away your Calyrex, or trade away your Chi-Yu, or trade away your Terrain or your Speed Control, and just get it back in the late game. So you can take an unfavorable trade, trading your Shadow Rider for like a Shenpao, and then once the Shenpao's gone, you just get a new Shadow Rider and just continue the sweep. It's pretty easy and it's pretty effective. So like what this team's going to be doing is it's going to be getting you to play at a pretty high level. So you're going to be playing better people faster. And then from there, if you want to keep this sort of playstyle and double down and find like new ways to optimize it, you can. Or you can get yourself to a high enough rank where you can then see what other popular people are doing, how they're playing Shadow Rider and other mons. And then from there make changes, knowing that you're fighting good people that know what they're doing. So it'll get you good enough to actually, learn the game at a correct level. So these are the mons that I would recommend. So it's a really cool team. We have Speed Control, we have Double Sweepers, we have Redirection, Damage Mitigation, Helping Hands, coverage for things like Terapagos and Kyber. Also, this thing's faster than Urshifu. It's a 105, so it's actually going to be able to pin like those Mystic Water, Urshi Waters. It's going to be able to pin Urshi Darks. It's a great pivot for a lot of dark moves too, so I think it's a really, really solid mon. Let's start talking about fleshing out some of these sets. I actually think you should probably be using a Choice Specs on this guy. I know Choice Specs is a little bit harder to use, but if you look at all the games that we played, the Shadow Rider never even got its sash clocked. And I think that like if you're in situations where you're actually getting your Shadow Rider sash clocked, you're walking really close to that edge of like, I'm just barely winning this one. Like one more move, one more like, you'd lose your Shadow Rider forever. So you might as well just go all in and add that specs. What this is going to do with the specs here, it's going to make it so you don't even have to care about their Kyogre or their Miraidon. You just pop them on the first turn. Like honestly, like specs Astral Barrage from like a Helping Hand will just one-shot the Miraidon and you outspeed it. And so what's going to happen is you're going to start to see situations, right, where they have to lead like Miraidon and Whims because they need to outspeed your Shadow Rider. And if you have something like a Ground Terra over here, let's just throw an idea, or on the Clef, they have to think, okay, well, if I want to Electro Drift and if I want to go Tailwind Electro Drift, they're just going to redirect with their Ground Terra, right, with a Follow Me user. And if I want to go like Volt Switch out, which is what they would always do, you can do this exact same play. You can Follow Me. And so what you can actually just do is go like Ground Terra, Follow Me, pop, and then like wait for this thing to go down, and then you just bring out your Speed Control and you stagger that Tailwind and you're in a really, really good spot. The only issue that I don't really like about some of those options is like sometimes if you don't take out the Whims fast enough, they can taunt your Torn because it's flying, it's not grounded. So that's something we might want to work around. You might even want to run something like, no, I still think Torn's good, but like Whims is another solid option. It's just that I think you actually really want the Torn to be able to have that one ground pivot just in case. So anyways, let's start going back to this team. I really think you should be using specs. Hopefully you agree. It's going to unlock a lot of options for you. So Astral Browse is good. Expanding Force is good. I like Shadow Ball here. So you can still just play around things that have Wide Guard. This is good into like Pelipper and stuff like that. And you could say, oh, well, you could go like Psyshock. I don't think Psyshock's right because you can just go for an Expanding Force. It's only an 80 base power if you don't have terrain. I actually like Pollen Puff here. And you're not using Pollen Puff to hit like your teammates to restore health. You definitely can. But the Pollen Puff is here exclusively for Farigiraf. Farigiraf's actually a really big problem for this team. We have like Chi-Yu, Shadow Rider, Indie Clef. Like we don't have that many good ways to break it. But like Specs, Pollen Puff, just a lot of the Farigirafs are actually built heavy defense. You can actually see them be built heavy defense when they're played with like Miraidon teams because they have the Electric Seeds for even more defense. So they actually just get folded by a Pollen Puff. And again, we're talking about these suboptimal trades that win you the game. You take out the Farigiraf, you go 1-for-1, you can go like Helping Hand Pollen Puff into the Farigiraf, and you trade your Shadow Rider for the Farigiraf, bring out your Palmont, redirect with your teammate, get a new Shadow Rider, lose your Palmont, then bring out the Shadow Rider again and just win in 2 turns. It's easy peasy. It's just basic trading. So I think this is a really good set, and I would say definitely try it if you have not. It's really cool. And if you get that 1 KO off the Farigiraf and you don't lose your Shadow Rider, you get that +1 as 1 boost. The like next turn against like a Blood Moon or like a Whimsicott or something, like you're just gonna kill that too. And then you're now at +2. You're cooking. Like this is a 90 base power move. People think Pollen Puff's weak. It would be the same as using like an Ice Beam or like a Thunderbolt. It's not a weak move. It's just a bug move. So, don't disrespect it. It's also good into like Calyrex Ice and stuff like that. Super effective. So against this Chi-Yu, a couple things about the Chi-Yu set. We're going to take a look at our EVs after we get our moves right. I think Heat Wave's good. I think Dark Pulse is good. If you want to stick with Snarl, go for it, but I don't think this team needs to mitigate damage as much as you might think. I would actually put Psychic here. And the Psychic is here specifically for Urshi Water. Since we're using a Scarf Chi-Yu, who, by the way, you were wasting points on here, you know, you had 248, 244 is the kicker, and you're wasting 4 points here too. So we're going to optimize that and change it a lot. But Psychic lets you actually outpin Urshi Waters, so they can't go like Scarf Urshi Water to pin your Cali. You can just Psychic those things, force Terras, and if you actually pivot out or pivot in Entity and get the Psychic Terra boost with the Beads of Ruin and the Psychic Terra, you actually still KO them even if they go Water Terra. Really, really cool stuff. As for this last slot, I would just go Overheat here. Sometimes you just got to Overheat things. That's how it is. So Overheat's a really good move. If you really want to add Snarl, you can. If you're comfortable with Snarl, I think that's a personal choice. I don't think that I like Snarl on Chi-Yu. Just my opinion. Doesn't do enough damage for what I want it to do. As for this Torn, Tailwind's good, Bleakwind's good. What I would do here is you can still have the Sunny Day, but I don't think it's required. I actually kind of just like Taunt here. I know you have an Entity, but like you don't need to really care about the Entity. You kind of just want this guy to hit its Bleakwind and then dip, right? So you can even add things like Icy Wind. There's a lot of different things you can do here. I think Icy Wind is good on this thing. Even U-Turn is somewhat decent, but I really like the taunt, so you can actually just lead it versus like a Mungus or other like Follow Me Mons and stuff like that, and just taunt it, get it out of the way, easy peasy. If they want to have like a Porygon 2 as like their Trick Room setter, you can just be like, no. Like, I don't even need to do anything weird, it's just no. So like, I would probably go something like that for this set, and we're going to see if that's what we want or what we don't want. Palmot has Revival Blessing, it's going to have Close Combat, and it's going to have Double Shock. Double Shock's still really good. Remember, you only get to use this once because we're not going to double dip our Electric Terror. We're probably going to go Fairy to help deal with like Raging Bolt and Miraidon. This gives perfect coverage for most Miraidon sets unless they're the Dazzling Gleam variants. And you could actually put Fake Out here, but I don't really like Fake Out. I like Protect to be able to elongate the presence of the potential Revival Blessing on the board, so I would go Protect there. As for this Entity, there's a few different things you can do with it. Honestly, I don't think that you're wrong in going with, like, you should still have Trick Room. I don't know if you need Imprison. I really don't. It's good and bad at the same time. Like, I like Imprison, but I don't know if you're playing this in, like, ladder, open sheet, close sheet. I don't want to just give you an Imprison team and say, like, hey, go use this Imprison team and just cheese people. But at the same time, I mean, it's not bad. It basically, if you have like a Water Terror here, we're going to put Ground Terror on the Clef, I think, actually. If you have a Water Terror here, this basically says like, hey, you know that Ursh Cali board? It's not setting Trick Room this turn, homie. It's not doing it. Trick Room helping him follow me. This is fine. I think what we're going to do here is probably just add like Dazzling Gleam in this slot. I think it's fine. I like the Dazzling Gleam too over Psychic because it lets you break Shempow just a little bit easier. And we're going to put the safety goggles on this thing. So this way you can redirect a Mungus a little bit easier as well. So you don't need to have any sort of weird Terras. So pretty decent set. For Clef, you want After You Follow Me, you want Helping Hand. And I really like Protect on Clef. It's going to be able to, again, elongate its presence on the board. It's going to maximize the amount of turns you can get the Friend Guard boosts. So this guy's just here to click Helping Hand. Just a Helping Hand Andy's over here. Definitely going to be rocking the EVLA. So that's how I would run this Clef. And I would make it the Ground Terror to help with the Miraidon matchup. If you need to redirect a Mungus or have a pivot in, it's always a good idea to have the safety goggles on these formats so you don't just auto-lose to a Mungus. It's going to be Ground here. So let's go back. Also, let's talk about the rest of the Terras here. I actually like going normal Terra here just to help solidify like Walk Up, like Flutter matchups, Shadow Rider matchups. I really, really vibe with the normal Terra here. If you want to go double dip Ghost and have specs, there are matchups that will be beneficial for you. Zenta will be a little bit easier. AV Groudon becomes a little bit of an easier matchup, but you're going to realize Helping Hand, Astral, they're just dead. Like, you don't need to double dip your Ghost. Saving that normal Terra for a flip, if you need to just like not die to like a Foul Play too, is really, really nice. Versus like if you had Ghost Terra, you could still die to Foul Play. So I think also your EVs are fine. Just got to go full sweeper. As for this Chi-Yu, there's nothing wrong with clicking the button here. You need to actually function at your full speed tier. You don't need to be 167. You can actually go down a couple and just outspeed an Ursh, right? But I think just going full speed, there's nothing like really wrong with it at all. You can even cut up this in a 244-4-4. I like the Ghost Terra. I think it works. I think another thing you can do with Chi-Yu here is go double dip on your Fire Terra because we have the Entity to help cover up for the fact that like we're not needing to respect Fake Out as much. So double dipping your Fire Terror is going to let you get just a little bit more damage on these Heat Waves and those overheats. As for the Torn, I really like the Dark Terra Torn. Dark Terra Torn is going to help solve that problem we were talking about with not having like a good matchup against like Encore Whims. So like we can just go, we can flip our Terra on if we know they have Encore. I think with Torn though, the way I would play it here, I don't think you need Cloak. I'm trying to think of a situation where like, what could they possibly be leading where like we need Torn to do something. Like we could go Ghost Terra Torn. I'm thinking like if they would like Fake Out like Rilla and Sin next to like a Scarf Urshi Water, that'd be problematic, right? Because we need Armand to do something. Maybe we go like Ghost Terra. I kind of, because I want to use Rocky Helmet here. If you can't tell, I want to use Rocky Helmet. No, it's fine. But if we're going to be playing a Torn like this, I don't think there's an issue with just going like full speed. Just like actual, like really, really angry. Let your Torn hit as hard. You want to be, this team excels at trading, right? We actually don't want this guy on the board that long. We want to set our Tailwind and open up a spot for like the Chi Yu. So like a perfect game would be something like Torn, Shadow Rider, Tailwind, get 1 or 2 KOs, lose our Torn, re-bring in our Chi Yu, and then win the game that turn. That's like the perfect game. Or bring out a Redirection Mon. We don't want this Torn on the board doing anything else. We want it to open up slots for our Redirection Mons and our Revival Blessing. So I think just something like this is fine. You can even go double dip flying there if you really feel like it. This guy's going to be our Sash. And Palmot's pretty simple because it's a Sash Mon. You can just go full speed, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. For the Indeedee, I think you want to maximize that HP stat. You don't need to end it. Well, I would still end it on an even number. I don't need to end on an even number. It's fine. You don't have a Citrus Berry or anything. You do need to be 0 speed reduced with this guy, though, because we need to be able to speed tie those Rillabooms and potentially lead into Rillaboom and not lose our terrain. So being able to have our terrain at first Rillaboom is very, very nice. From there, I think you're going to be more afraid of physical attacks with this thing. Remember, its main goal is to like flip Trick Rooms and deal with like Urshi Waters and Cali. So I don't think you're even wrong with putting like full defense investment. But honestly, like you can just play for the bump, which is going to be right there. You see it goes from 119 to 121 from only a little bit more investment. And the reason why that happens is it's a combination of our nature and the EVs going in to give an extra 10% boost to the stat, and that's just where it happens on Indeedee. So the last 60 points just go right there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy, nothing too spectacular there. Indeedee is going to be the main physical redirector. This is going to be the main special redirector, because this is going to be more utilized against like Miraidons, other Shadow Riders, things like that. Definitely would be maxing out our HP stat on a Clefairy. Again, you want that speed reduced 0 speed. If you need help getting some of these mons, I can also probably trade you some Brejects, because these ones are just easy to get. But you want to be able to underspeed as many things as possible. Definitely be underspeeding like an Ursa Luna. And then from there, if we look for the bump here, I think it's going to be... Are we even looking for the bump on this guy? I'm trying to think exactly like where you want to be. It's same spot. I think that it's the exact same spot. Well, now, of course it is. That's usually about the same. It's the same like spot every time, basically, for a lot of these mons. But yeah, I think this is a pretty like easy to use Clefairy set. It's gonna be able to block more special attacks. This one's gonna be able to block more physical attacks, and that's gonna basically be the team. So hopefully you like these changes. What we're gonna do now is go play some games with it and hopefully get some big wins. So let's hop right into it. Here we go. And this is your reminder, if you guys are liking the content, think about dropping a sub on this channel. Hopefully you're having a good time. So we see Mimikyu, very weird. Porygon Ursa, which is like, you don't really see Porygon as often in these formats. This is going to be something that like, dang, aren't we happy that we have like Taunt Torn? Remember though, the thing we're really looking at here is, do you have Tailwind? What's your speed tiers like? You don't have Tailwind, which means we can actually just lead with this and say you're done. Like we can just lead with this and say you're done. So break the wrist, walk away, get some help. We can also even lead Chi Yu and just pop over that thing. One thing we got to be wary of is the double normals over there. So maybe we lead Indeedee. I don't think there's an issue with leading Indeedee. I think if like, what are you going to do, get up Trick Room? Like I'll just Trick Room it back. Those are fine. I'm going to bring the Palmot. They reject open team sheets. Okay. Those two plus Clef. No Chi Yu this time. Are you leading Miraidon? Nope. So they didn't lead Miraidon. That's one thing that's really, really important to note. They did not lead Miraidon. Not that they had to lead Miraidon, but since they didn't lead Miraidon, we know they have to have in the back. And they're probably doing Trick Room, which means the last mon is this Ursa. I'm assuming that they're Mentor, by the way. So what we're going to do is just go for... I will expanding. If you would like to click Wide Guard, you can be my guest. Be my guest. Be my guest. Here's my Miraidon. It's the best. I think we still targeted correctly, which is hitting the Mimikyu slot. Yep, so you still want to target correctly in case they take away those terrains. You're going to be able to get whatever you want out of this. SD, no. Ooh, they didn't go with the play. Cool, I think that's fine. I think you can just, look at this. Expanding Force, pivot back in the entity, re-terrain, game over. Look at this damage. 1, 2, 3, eyes on me. Dunzo, baby. Look at that. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. It doesn't get much easier than that. It doesn't get much easier than that. If you wanted to Trick Room, note that we had the Clef in the perfect spot to be able to then just go for the after you follow me right into the Mimikyu. Even if you set the Trick Room, that was easy peasy. Pretty cool stuff. And just like that, like Miraidon matchup solved. Easy peasy. Kind of weird to see the Mimikyu, though, and the Ursa. Shenpao with, like, Galarian and Moltres, really, really rough matchup. You see, like, this is where Pawmot's going to be very, very impactful, being able to pin that with, like, Double Shock. This is going to be hard. I think this is probably an L. Let's take a look at their speed tiers. They have potential Tailwind over there. This is going to be, like, Booster Flutter. Probably Sash on the Shenpao. Obviously, Zenta's holding the Rusted Shield. Probably AV Rillaboom. I don't know what's up with this Shandy. It could be Orbed. It could be Mental Orbed. It could be Citrus. It could be Scarf. There's a lot of weird things there. I think in this matchup, though, we're not wrong if we want to go Chi-Yu. I think Chi-Yu is a decent lead. Chi-Yu, I think you need to bring Pawmot. I think something like Chi-Yu, Cali, Indeedee, Pawmot could work here. So we're going to try this. And again, very bad matchup. They have, like, 3 darks and things that, like, pin. So very, very not optimal. Here's the Beads of Ruin. And Booster Flutter. Awesome. So they can go like Icy Wind Pin. I think we're going to let that happen. We're just going to pivot in our Indeedee and just go for an Expanding Force. Easy peasy. You can honestly click Wide Guard. Wide Guard's like not a problem. Like if you're Wide Guarding, that's like you're restricted, stopping my restricted. And like I took a Icy Wind, like, oh no. You know, if you ever want to do anything, I'm fine. And if this was like a game 2 situation, like, or like, let's say we're playing like a best of 3, I could just come in with like, I could just Shadow Ball next turn. Like, Shadow Ball, honestly, like, cooks like half these guys. So let's think about what we want to do here. We're going to follow me and just do it again. We're not in a hurry here. You see how they're like, ha, he won't expect me to do Wide Guard. It's like, actually, like, you should just keep using Wide Guard, bro. Like, what are you going to do? Like, Moonblast me instead? So in this turn, they're going to go back to the Wide Guard, right? So now we can pivot out our Cali for our Chi-Yu, come in, soak some damage. We're not going to get KO'd here. If we do get KO'd there, we just repin with Shadow Rider. I think that we're still in the right play to follow me, pivot in the Chi-Yu, and then we just pin this guy with like an Overheat or like a Dark Pulse probably still gets the pin. So we're in a good spot. I think this Flutter Mane is more problematic than I'm giving it credit for, but I'm not taking the bait on it. Show me the Wide Guard. There it is. Easy peasy. Here's a follow me. If you take this thing out. Oh, easy. Nice. Hey, that was really cool. So now we can just go follow me here. We didn't even have to lose this guy. We can go for a Heat Wave. We can go for a... I think that Psychic's actually fine because like we're going to be doing a lot of pivoting. No, I'll go for the Overheat. Because I still want to be able, I don't want them to be able to bring in Shenpao. And I don't want to use... what move is that? I don't want to use Heat Wave to get Wide Guarded. So we're going to find spot. Thunder Wave Flutter is very good. It's a very common Flutter set. So it's those. He doesn't have Shadow Ball. Last move's like Moonblast or Dazzling Gleam usually. So actually we don't need to be very respectful. There's the Moonblast. Crit actually was needed in that situation. But we took out their Restricted. That's really, really nice. So what we can do here is come in with Calyrex. You can go for a Thunder Wave. I don't think that's like the end of the world. I think what we're going to do is pivot in our Pawmot. There's the Shenpao like we were talking about. Cool. Things are looking up. You're going to go, if you Icy Wind here, Sacred Sword, that's bad. Let me think about that. I think I'm just going to pivot in the Pawmot, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to try and pin the Shenpao. I think you might actually go for the Thunder Wave here instead of the Icy Wind, but that's just me. Icy Wind can miss, Thunder Wave can miss. There's the Thunder Wave. Oh, Volt Absorb, so busted. Overheat, busted. There's that Sash clocked. If you want a Sacred Sword, be my guest, my friend. It does not KO. Yep. And now the terrain's gone, but... I think we're fine, because if you Moonblast here, I can still revive. That's what I'm looking at here. So we're going to go for the revival. And if you double here, you lose you lose there. We could even like pivot in our Shadow Rider if we wanted to be really, really cute. That's a deep read. That's a game-losing read that I'm making. Oh, that's so good. Yep. Oh, yeah, it's so good. Oh, yeah. Give me this back. Yeah. Cool. So we got that in for free. We still have our Sash. So now we're in a situation where we need to start getting some of these guys off the board. Astral wins the game if we can connect with the Astral. So I think the right play is to fodder the Calyrex for the Chi-Yu and just try and get some damage here. I think that's probably right, because then we can just get a board that's Calyrex Indity, right? So even if you make the read and double into the slot, like we just send out the Indity and redirect there, that's probably fine. I'll close combat the Shenpao because this protects on cooldown, and we'll pivot in Chi-Yu. Sucker Punch fails, easy peasy. Icy Wind not going to do it. Breaks my Sash, but the Shenpao is broken. Dunzo. Mischief managed. And what's the last Mon? I think the last Mon is really, really problematic here. Rilla's probably fine. Moltres is a pain in the butt. We do have the Double Shock. I think the right play here is to pivot out the Pawmot for the Indity. And honestly, we've used our Terra here. I don't really care if they want to go into this. Like, I can't stop that. So we're just going to try this. I think I hope I don't get tailwinded on by this Moltres, but like it's hard to say, right? Dark Terra double dip. Yep, it's a good play. Note that our Pawmot now can just close combat that thing. Big damage. Holy moly. It's within range for a lot of our Mons right here. And they didn't set any sort of like crazy speed control. So they shouldn't be able to stop me. You can Moonblast here. I don't know if I die. I might live. You know, I think you crit me a couple times. And let's see. We do have the pin right there. The right play is to... You're going to go... You're going to Icy Wind. Right? That is the play. It's Icy Wind, right? Just got to go for it. Oh, I'm making reads. Icy Wind's good, but let's see if it actually wins. Big damage, flutters down. Yep. And they're going to try and fold me with a Fiery Wrath here. If you get the flinch, you win. You don't lose your typing, by the way, if it doesn't make connections. So close combat's good. We might still outspeed, like honestly. We're at 148. They're like, if they're not full speed, we still get the KO. Yep. They need to be full speed, and they're not. And we take those wins. That was a really, really, really hard matchup. 10-turn game with like an aggressive team like this. But you see the value of the Pawmot. You see the value of the Shadow Rider. We got our Indity back that game, and we take those wins all the way to the bank. That was absolutely amazing. It's a hard matchup, but you know. And in game 2, what we would do is just go, fine. You're gonna do all that stuff with the Wide Guards. Just Shadow Ball. Just Shadow Ball. Punish. Turn 1. Punish the Flutter. Easy peasy. What is this? Mr. Mustache over here. Probopass has Sturdy. I think it also gets Wide Guard, so we need to be watching out for like these two. They're just problematic. They don't have that much speed control though. They have Regieleki as their main form of speed control. So like we could honestly just lead like Torn, Cali, Pawmot, get the Cali back, win the game. Trying to think of what other Mon we kind of want to use here. I don't mind Clef as like the one redirector. They can kind of have a great matchup in a lot of these guys and sit on the board and just utilize value. I don't think we really need to have fake out protection from Indity. We don't really need terrain control. So I'm going to go with Clef here. Yeah, I think it's going to be fine. I really like Clef in this matchup. So there's the Incin. There's the Lucky. One thing I really, really like about this sort of team as well is like we are just going to blow everything up. Like the Lucky has to be sashed, right? We're going to get our Tailwind up and we're just going to go for the Fat Astral. We're going to lose the Calyrex. We're going to bring the Pawmot and then we're just going to revive it and go back to town again. They think that their Incin can just like eat this. And even if you have like AV Incin, he tried to catch me going on a Terra. I didn't need to. That's another thing. Like you don't have to do a lot of those things. There's a Sash. Like what move are you using? Electro Web? It's not it. Not it. And we have Cloak over here, so we're not afraid. Yeah, I could just go Bleak Wind here. And we should still outspeed a Lecky. 277, 296. Yeah, we do still outspeed. Awesome. So we're going to lose our Shadow Rider here, and that's completely fine. Let's see if we get the KO on this Incin. See the value of the full special attack Tornadus. Really, really good stuff. And he's like, ha! Like, I killed your Shadow Rider. And it's like, okay. Thanks. So we just got to hit a Bleak Wind here. I'd like to get the Revival up right now, as opposed to any other time later. I could pin the Incin, but I don't want to deal with, like, any weird shenanigans. I want to get my damage. I want to get my revive going. And then from there, Shadow Rider should just be able to pin their Mons in the back. Maybe if they have like Scarf Lando, that could be pretty problematic. But as long as we hit our Bleak Wind into the Lecky, we basically should win. Awesome. There's a revival. Give me back my Shadow Rider. And now they have like a lot of single target mons. And we have, oh wait, Wisp. He missed a Wisp. Well, now, Wisp is actually a good play there. It breaks the Sash if I did have it. And it's not like you were doing anything else. You probably were hoping that I missed Weak One with my Torn. And we're going to take out there. But that should just be game. If we drop a Protect on our Torn over here, we are able to outvalue the last turn of the Tailwind. And just set up a new one. I think the right play here is to just double shock this Incin, not close combat, because you don't want them to go Ghost Terra. Yep. There it is. Great damage. Ice Beam blocked, so we just reset the Tailwind here. And I think we can still ignore that thing. I'm just going to close combat the Probopass. I think Probopass is more of a threat than I'm giving it credit for, but I think once we take this thing out, the whole game gets folded by Shadow Rider. Ghost Terror. There it is. Hey, you know what? Good play for him. But, you know, like, we have Shadow Ball pin now. So you're going to Ice Beam there. You're going to, like, what? Iron Defense? Meteor Beam. Not bad. We do resist it. Oh, that's still so much. So you can move Shadow Rider here. I think you could probably get away with Astral. But I don't see an issue with, like, doubling into that slot. Ooh, because he has Ghost, I'd have... If I lose my... I need to get this thing off the board. I'm going to get Wide Guarded. Alright, I'm going to Shadow Ball this and pivot in my Clef to be able to potentially eat the Ice Beam and just repin and be able to double shock. There's a Wide Guard. I played around it correctly. Good job, me. You know, there we go. And Frengar might be able to let us live. Never lucky. But I think that we have the pin here. So we're going to go for a Protect. There's nothing that we really need to do here. And then next turn, I'm trying to think what I need to do. I don't know if Close Combat -1 gets the KO on the Kyurem. I don't think that it does. I wonder if they're going to play this correctly. If you have knockoff, I think the right play... I think the right play that has to be made here is they're using single target moves. So we need to get the Incin off the board. I don't think they're going to throw a Raw Blizzard out. And then we'll be able to go for, like, you know, 2 close combats, basically. That's my idea. Yeah, Earth Power is not stabbed, and so now we get 2 close combats. Whew. Yeah. Perfect. I mean, if you got Blizzard, you got Blizzard, bro. Yeah, you don't got it, though. Easy peasy. And we won. So, yeah, we almost lost that one. That was almost dicey. The Probopass almost gave us the business with that Ghost Terra. Cool, but we take those wins all the way to the bank. I think this is definitely an upgraded version of the team, and I think it's easier to play. If you actually want videos of me using very similar teams like this, just go back on the YouTube channel. There's a lot of videos of me using like Shadow Rider, Tailwind with like Revival Blessing. I think it's the best way to play these sort of like really, really aggressive Shadow Rider comps, and it still keeps the basic idea of the team where you're utilizing Chi-Yu and Shadow Rider together to have a lot of value. There's nothing wrong with this. You can play this in open sheet, you can play this on ladder, and you're going to get a lot of value out of this course. So thank you so much to Ivy for submitting their team. If there's a team you want to submit, if you want a second set of eyes, if you wanted me to take a, you know, a full almost hour, take a look at your team, play games with your team, talk about what I like, talk about what could be optimized, and then give my opinion on how we can optimize it, think about checking out the Patreon. Even the lowest tier gets access to this post. We're running tournaments. We're posting all my rentals for all the cool Reg G teams that you want to see me use. And, you know, I'm entering some secret tournaments as well. So you got some secret That's a Sauce coming to Patreon as well. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the content. The last thing I want to say, one other thing I want you to check out. This one's free, by the way. Think about checking out the Singles channel. We've been absolutely killing it on this Singles channel, and if you guys want to give me a Christmas present without actually having to spend any money, you can go check out the Singles channel, link in the description. Just drop a sub on there. I'd really appreciate it. We need to get to 1,000 subscribers. We're at 514. We also need 4,000 watch hours, and I think we're at like 2,500. So we're making great progress. This is where I've been uploading my BDSP content, even a little bit of VGCs on there as well. So think about checking this out. We make daily content on that channel. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Check out the Patreon, check out the Singles channel. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.